Hey, good morning and welcome to the Eric Cedarstrom Radio News Hour. We're live from beautiful Deer Valley, Arizona Air Park, the busiest small airport in the country. And this show's brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group, the only gold and silver company I recommend. Gold and silver by allamericangold.com. You can reach them at 1-800-951-0592. Or if you go to their website at allamericangold.com, they update it daily with pricing and news and just about anything you can think of. And from the looks of it, in today's day and age, with the news that changes dramatically, where you also have financial markets that turn on a dime, where they can't explain half the things that are happening in this country, and you're scratching your head going, man, I don't get it. Well, don't feel bad. You're not alone. I'm joined this morning with the CEO of Patriot Trading Group, Joe Jaquint, sits in here, working like a dog, also the owner of the American Freedom Network, trying to put together all new programming, getting everything moved around. I'm just trying to help the ball club and do the best we can. Good morning, Joe. How are you doing?
Good morning. You're doing a great job. Yeah, anything I can do to help the ball club, that's what we're looking for.
Well, you see, that's from, what is it, Bull Durham, where you got to practice your interviews.
Yeah.
So
that sounds kind of boring, doesn't it? Just write it down.
Right. Got to play them one at a time. Good Lord willing, we'll win a game. So I got to tell you, myself and Kate Smith's family are really aggravated today. I mean, this whole thing is just ridiculous. The God Bless America, and of course, a couple of songs that she sang that they, of course, kicked her out of the Yankees, but now they tore the statue down. They covered it up yesterday and tore it down. I think it's gone today for the Philadelphia Flyers. So their decision to cut ties with the late singer after racist lyrics she recorded in the 1930s resurfaced. Yeah, Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America should be changed to God Bless the New America. We don't want to God bless the America that had history, that had problems, yes, had racism, had slavery. No, we want to rewrite all of that. We want to get rid of all the icons that were out there, all the statues, get rid of all the Confederate soldiers, just take it all down so we can rewrite history where we love everybody in this country. Everybody, except Christians and Trump supporters. But the NHL hockey team followed in the footsteps of the Yankees. And, I mean, it's just crazy. And they got rid of the God Bless America. And, I mean, I know, Kate Smith recorded the song, I Want to Pop a Cop. She got that.
Wait a minute. I thought that was NWA.
I want to pop a cap in a cop. That was Kate Smith, And then she had the song "Hit 'Em Up," where she did the duet with Tupac, and it's you can see where people are pretty upset over this whole thing.
I think she co-wrote "F the Police."
There you have
it.
Yeah. Right. So apparently, any vile and pernicious lyrics that you can add on a radio. That with music, rap music, there you can define it to the most small detail of the finest minutia of the most vile things you can think of is okay in today's society. But we can't sing God Bless America. If Kate Smith was a racist, I'm a Martian. So
I knew something was weird about you.
Yeah, it explains a lot. So it's just amazing, isn't it? So. But it's just the new world. It's just the way it is. And, God bless the new America, because it's not going to be pretty. The impeachment news is everywhere. You talk about a country heading to absolute calamity, which is where we're heading, by the way. If you're not getting it, or maybe you are, if you're listening to this show, obviously you're looking elsewhere for your news and possibly some answers. But, to what end and how severe this is going to be, I think everybody's going to be quite surprised at how bad this is going to get. I mean, right now you've got a lot of banner, you got a lot of angry people, and you see little things breaking out. I'm talking about politics, obviously, at this point. I'm not talking about, religious disasters. I'm talking about the Trump haters, the liberals that are out there, and, Trump came out today and said the Washington Post should apologize. They should. They should. But yet the other side hasn't dropped, a stitch. They haven't missed a step. They're everywhere. You got George Conway, which is Kellyanne Conway's husband. And if you remember, a few weeks ago, he made a derogatory remark, and his wife sided with the president on it. This morning, tweet storm, let's face it, that's what it is. The tweet storms that fly around every day. Attorney George Conway, husband of White House counselor Kellyanne Conway, said President Trump engaged in misconduct worse than the misconduct that led to Nixon's resignation. Conway linked to a column by the Washington Post Greg Sargent that said alleged attempts by Trump to impede special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation impeded the inquiry not just into his conduct but also into the Russian attack on our political system. They won't let it go. They won't let it go. This is amazing. Exactly right. Conway, a frequent Trump critic, wrote today, citing the president's oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, except Mexicans. Okay, you have to add that now if you're a liberal. Now, if there ever was a president that was guarding this country and who has lived up to that oath better than any president that I've seen since I've been alive in 59, it's crazy. Crazy. So how you can look and say, well, we want open borders. You got to know he's an open border guy, right? You just got to know it. They all are, everyone who hates Trump. And they just want, just give everything that this country stands for, everything that we've learned in this country, throw it all out, open up the borders, forget the blood that's been spilled, forget the wars, forget anything. Just open it all up to everybody and just watch it dissolve. You're listening to the Eric Cedarstrom Show. Good morning. How you guys doing? We having fun yet?
There's sanctuary and amnesty. Bring the whole family eventually. Yeah, come to the USA.
Yeah, rocking and firing this morning. Thanks for tuning in. Jason's running the board of the mothership, KHNC 1360. You can also put that on your phone or your computer. This show, the Eric Cedarstrom Show, this is hour 1 of 3 hours. So, great to be alive. Thanks for tuning in. I tell you, it gets my blood boiling. You start looking at everything that's happening. They had a couple of kids at University of Arizona. I think it was 3 girls. They had an ice guy in there talking about careers with the Border Patrol. And he was teaching a class, the Border Patrol. And he was standing there, you got a classroom, and these 3 young girls stood in the doorway and started heckling him and yelling and screaming, going, "We don't want you here. We don't want the police here. We don't feel safe here." Well, you can't do that. There is freedom of speech laws, and there are rights that people have, and actually teaching a class at a state university, you are not allowed to interrupt them if they are in the classroom. So they all got tickets. I don't think they got arrested, but the girls got tickets. But just like Jesse Smollett, they dropped the charges yesterday. So, you can do anything you want in this country. You can heckle anyone. You can go after anyone as long as you're on the liberal side. Had it been reversed, Oh, yeah.
Forget about it. Well, the guy at the border, right?
That he gets arrested.
He's not getting off.
Well, how about, the Easter tragedy? How about reversing that? How do you think that would look today? The Christians attacking the Muslims.
You can't say that it was an attack on Christians.
Yeah, I know.
Can't say that.
Can't say that. But no. It was. We all know it was. Coordinated. So now the attacks, we'll go back to just the attacks on Trump today. How's that? So you got Kellyanne Conway, which, think about it. As close as she is to the president, has to put up with this, you got to think the Jeopardy clock is running do on the marriage, So as for Trump's supposed defense that there was no underlying collusion crime, well, as the counsel points out, it's not a defense even in a criminal prosecution, but it's actually unhelpful in the comparison to Watergate. The underlying crime in Watergate was a clumsy third-rate burglary in an election campaign that turned out to be a landslide. The investigation that Trump tried to interfere with here to protect his own personal interests was a significant part of an investigation of how a hostile foreign power tries to manipulate an election. Trump violated his oath of office to put his own vanity and self-interest above that of the nation and people whose laws and constitution he swore to faithfully execute and uphold, Conway tweeted.
Now, hold on a minute. What was really the real issue here was they made all that up.
Yeah, I know.
They made up the whole Russian thing. It was all fake news.
Right, so the whole thing, the premise was based on a lie.
They wanted to actually spy on Trump. The ones that were impeding justice and really attacking our democracy was the Democrats.
Oh, they're rabid, though. These guys are rabid. So nothing has changed. Like we said, nothing has changed. If anything, the rhetoric is just heated up. So last night, you know, you had the, I don't know what they call it, where all the liberals get together, a town hall. Okay. All right, let me tell you. That's
What's that thing called where the liberals all get together? Oh, that's right, a town hall.
A town hall. That's a town that I wouldn't want to live in. They wouldn't have me, number one. I'd be in prison, locked up for life. But they all got together, including South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete, just say, is it Buttigieg, I think? Buttigieg.
Oh, he's the new
Mayor
darling.
Pete. Oh, they
He's
love
the
Mayor
darling.
Pete. Yeah, he's the new tranny guy, LBTGQ. He said President Donald Trump has made it pretty clear that he deserves impeachment, and he'll leave it to the House and Senate to figure that out. The 2020 Democrat presidential campaign was asked about the call from some people in his party for Trump's impeachment following the release of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's redacted report looking into connections between Russia and Trump in the 2016 campaign, as well as obstruction of justice. Now, that's where they're going with a fake charge. Anybody, you can find anybody in any investigation, you can hit them with obstruction of justice. Where's this piece of paper we're looking for? I don't know. And then you find it. You knew where it was. That's obstruction of justice. That's how small and minute it can be. Buttigieg, I think it's how you say, I'm not sure, says my role in the process is trying to relegate Trumpism to the dustbin of history. He continued, I think there is no more decisive way to do that, especially to get Republicans to abandon this deal with the devil they made, than to have an absolute thumping of the ballot box for what he represents. Now, of course, a little investigation. Yeah, just crazy, isn't it?
I mean,
this is crazy.
Again, they made it up. That whole dossier was a bunch of crap. And you know what? They knew it was crap. So the president said, can we please stop this? It's crap. It's made up. And now he's saying that he was impeding justice?
Well, let's look into Mayor Pete, shall we? He has no shot. I mean, he's openly LGBTQ. I'll get that right. I got it because I'm reading that. So I don't, how this becomes part of the American daily news is far beyond me. But anyway, he says it can be challenging being a person of faith, he says. Now remember, this guy, he's starting to become one of the darlings. He's well-spoken, you got to admit, and he's openly gay. Can you still call him gay? I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll find out if I get thrown off the network. But so he has a partner. I don't know, maybe marriage partner. I think he's got a partner, a significant other. What if Pete gets elected? What would the first lady look like? I mean, how do you get around that one? Trying to explain that to your granddaughter. This is America today. Amazing. Yeah, so at the town hall in New Hampshire, he's a man of faith, and I guess, I don't know. I think of the Seinfeld where Elaine and Putty were trying to figure out when he was listening to Christian music, and they go to the pastor trying to figure out, if Elaine's really going to go to hell or not, because she doesn't listen to Christian music. And he says, well, often husbands and wives fight, and he goes, oh, we're not married. He goes, well, it's real simple, then you're both going to hell. Which Seinfeld answered the question right there. So, but, you can't say that because now you can get married. So, I don't know. So, anyway, Mayor Pete picking up steam. He's trying to take over Beto's campaign help. So, campaign dreams, I guess.
Beto's done. Beto's done.
I don't know. The Mexican, you got to remember the Mexican thing. How did AOC get in there? The Cortez. People didn't know what nobody ever heard of her. I mean, they picked her out of I think they held an open audition,
His name's Robert O'Rourke.
Right.
He's not Mexican.
He's Beto. You go vote for Pedro. So they're going for that deal. I'm telling you. And that's all you need. You know what percentage of people that are Hispanic that don't know anything? They don't listen to radio. They could be listening to this right now. They don't understand what we're saying. They only heard the word Beto. So, how many of them are going to vote?
Are they allowed to put Beto O'Rourke on the ballot, or do they actually have to use his real name? Because if they use his real name, they probably won't know who to vote for.
Yeah, Mexican-Irish guy. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just depends, I guess. So
Robert Francis.
Yeah. If he's Mexican, well, again, I'm a Martian. But think about it. So anyone that has that name, Garcia, Cortez, they got a shot. Think of what percentage is going to be. Anybody can vote. Even, Sanders, this is what they want to do.
Maybe Sanders and Cortez on the ticket.
Right, Sanders. He should change his first name to Pedro. He'd be in there like swimwear. Bernie Sanders said Monday he thinks everyone should have the right to vote, even the Boston Marathon bomber. Okay, this is how crazy this is all getting.
How crazy are we going to get?
Sanders argued democracy demands that right for every American. And this is a democracy, and we've got to expand this democracy, and I believe every single person has the right to vote. Asked if that included sex offenders, the Boston Marathon bomber, terrorists, and murderers, Sanders replied, yes, even for terrible people. Because once you start chipping away and you say, well, that guy committed a terrible crime, not going to let him vote, well, that person did that, not going to let that person vote, you're running down a slippery slope. No, you're not. It's pretty simple. Convicted felons can't vote, can't possess firearms. Might as well give them guns and let them out, right?
Well,
there you go.
I mean, if that's the logic you're going to use, then why not? Everything else should be fine, too.
So Sanders says, I believe people commit crimes and they paid the price. They have the right to vote. He's talking about, though, letting them vote in prison even. I believe, even if they're in jail, they're paying their price to society.
I'm running for office, and I want all of you convicts to know if you vote for me, I'm going to let you all out.
How about a Mexican guy that plays Johnny Cash music? The Folsom Prison Blues. This is where we're heading, ladies and Germans. Just this is where we're going. You couldn't script this thing any more crazier than what's going to happen in the next year that you can't even imagine. So, anyway, yes, Bernie says he should not take away their inherent American right to participate in our democracy. Ask their victims.
We didn't take it away.
They took it
away from themselves.
Yeah. The only saving grace is that as this progresses, as it gets more and more wacky, it makes anybody with any common sense and that wants to hang on to any semblance of what the United States stood for, whether it be perception or reality, but maybe the country's not that bad. Maybe we should keep this guy. It helps Trump. So Trump today, he is calling through all this. Let me tell you, this is Impeachment Tuesday. I could literally quote 20 Democrats who got up on their soapboxes and talked about they don't know why he should be impeached. They have no evidence, but it's just time. And even Nancy Pelosi, she knows. She knows. Right. She's like, we can't do it.
She knows the whole thing was bull crap anyway. And if anyone really investigated, the only ones that could possibly go to prison would be the Obama administration.
Well, President Trump says the New York Times the enemy of the people. If they're the enemy of the people, I'm the friend. So, welcome to the Eric Cedarstrom Show. Yes, the people's friend. He's demanding an apology from the newspaper for its loss of all credibility. The president blasted the New York Times and columnist Paul Krugman in a pair of tweets this morning. I wonder if the New York Times will apologize to me a second time, as they did after the 2016 election. But this one will have to be far bigger and better apology. On this one, they'll have to get down on their knees and beg for forgiveness. They are truly the enemy of the people. That's the President of the United States, all right?
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. I'm glad that he does this. So it's nice to have somebody with personality. Oh, man. Well, what else will we talk about? So he also tweeted, Paul Krugman of the fake news New York Times lost all credibility, as has the Times itself, with his false and highly inaccurate writings on me. He's obsessed with hatred, just as others are obsessed with how stupid he is. He said market would crash only record highs. He's right. All the libs, you know why they're really mad? They all sold out their stocks. They all did. All you conservatives, the minute that he became president, you guys all bought your stocks back. Because, you know, I didn't own any equities during Obama. I own them now. In a column for the Times on Monday, Krugman wrote, "The fact is that the occupant of the White House betrayed his country, and the question everyone is asking is, what will Democrats do about it?"
Again, how did he betray the country?
I don't get it, Joe.
This was a fake report created by Democrats to begin with.
Amazing, isn't it? What a crazy, crazy, crazy time in the country. Yeah, it may seem all fun and games now, but get ready. The shoot's going to start. You're listening to Eric Cedarstrom, hour 1 of 3 on this beautiful Tuesday in April. Stay with me. We'll be back after these messages.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily broadcast from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. And we're upholding the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly, a constitutional attorney and articulate voice for traditional values for more than 70 years. Now, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
If the Affordable Care Act wasn't affordable and the Net Neutrality Act wasn't neutral, can you guess what the Congressional Accountability Act didn't solve? That act of Congress is the law establishing a special justice system exclusively for harassment accusations leveled at members of Congress and their staffs. It also created a now infamous secret hush fund where taxpayer dollars are used to settle these accusations. Americans are fed up with this swampy Washington elitism. We will not condone abusive behavior that goes against every standard of decency, and we certainly don't want to pay to cover it up. There are a few members of Congress who are willing to stand up against this kind of indecency. Ron DeSantis introduced a great bill called the Congressional Accountability and Hush Fund Elimination Act just before he was elected governor of Florida. Not surprisingly, his colleagues in Congress did not jump up to vote for the bill. Now Americans want to know if the 116th Congress has what it takes to eliminate this national disgrace. We don't just need to eliminate the Congressional Hush Fund because it covers for abhorrent behavior. We also need to take it down because it's un-American in principle. Our nation was founded on the idea that all men are created equal. We do not recognize any kind of monarchy or title of nobility here in America because it would violate the principle of equality from birth. How then can we allow Congress to have special rules that only apply to its members and staff? We don't want special Congress-only exemptions from harassment procedures any more than we want special Congress-only exemptions from Obamacare. Outside the halls of Congress, this issue is not really debated. From the limited government folks to the Me Too crowd, we all want to see this hush fund shut down for good. The only thing standing in our way is our own apathy. America needs to let Congress know that we will not allow them to have any special exceptions to the law, and we will not allow them to harass anybody and get away with it. This is America, and in our nation, everyone is entitled to be a part of liberty and justice for all.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report with Ed Martin, president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. And we think it's time to take Washington back from the power brokers. At phyllisschlafly.com, we're organizing a grassroots movement to stand against the deep state bureaucrats who control government. For the latest strategies, go to phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us again next time for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
There you have it. That's Kate Smith. God bless the New World Order. It'll be the new song for the New York Yankees. Thumpin' and a pumpin'. You're listening to Eric Cedarstrom Show, sitting in Joe Jaquint the CEO of Patriot Trading Group and allamericangold.com. You can reach those fine folks at 1-800-951-0592. Put away a little hard assets. You can protect your tomorrows with something that wasn't born yesterday. And speaking of yesterday, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler subpoenaed former White House counsel Don McGahn to testify publicly next month following last week's release of the Mueller report. Nadler described McGahn, who stepped down as the White House counsel on October 2018, as a critical witness to many of the alleged instances of obstruction of justice and other misconduct. So again, can't find the piece of paper you're looking for, is now obstruction of justice. And that's all I'm going to do on that today. How about this one? Let's get into the rest of the world that we live in. Disney heiress calls CEO Bob Iger's $65 million pay package insane. And you have to laugh about this one because remember, who's accusing him of being paid too much is a Disney heiress. You know, I'd have to think she's probably getting a pretty good check. Last year, Walt Disney chief executive Bob Iger made $65.6 million, or 1,424 times the median Disney employee's salary.
How many times?
1,424. So for every dollar they get, he gets $1,400.
Wow. You think that's why a ticket to Disney costs $200?
You know, that might have something to do with it. So, yeah. Disney, a philanthropist and filmmaker whose grandfather, Roy Disney, co-founded the entertainment giant, spoke against income inequality at a Fast Company event Friday and reiterated her thoughts Sunday on Twitter, saying the company is making so much money that it has no excuse not to give its lowest paid employees at least a bonus. So she wants significant pay raises as opposed to a $15 minimum wage or one-time bonuses. When Iger got his bonus last year, I did the math and figured out that he could have given personally, get this is how they think, this younger snowflake generation. And don't worry, I have all the new isms. They added something like 50-something words to the dictionary today. So they're out there. We'll have to cover those. You know, you got to go to the meetings and stay up on this stuff. But so let me see. She did the math. She figured out that she could have given, or he could have given, personally, out of pocket, a 15% raise to everyone who worked at Disneyland and still walked away with $10 million. How about that? So she figures $10 million's enough. So there's a point at which there's too much going around the top of the system into this class of people. I'm sorry, this is radical. I have too much money. Having too much money, there is such a thing. Disney, a member of Patriotic Millionaires, a group of high net worth Americans that advocates higher taxes for the rich and equal political representation. Disney says she has nothing against Iger and said he has led the company brilliantly, but argued that a pay cut for him and other super wealthy executives would hardly be felt. What difference would it make in the quality of life for those that gave up half their bonuses? None. Zero. Maybe they can't afford a third home or another boat, but I'm not being facetious here. This is the kind of sacrifice we'd be talking about for high-level executives. You know what? I feel the same way about government employees. I really do. Should they all get $100,000 a year on their pensions? Should they be allowed to double dip, or should they all be given minimum wage? I mean, I feel the same way about them. They need unions. They need unions. The government employees need unions to protect them from me, the evil taxpayers. She said the relocating of money to workers would have a big and immediate effect. It doesn't. I mean, we already see that. They did the Red for Ed here in Phoenix, where the teachers got a 10% pay raise. Any of you catch the front page of the paper yesterday? It says the teachers want more.
Right? They made a mistake, and they realized, wait a minute, we were using the inflation rate from the central bank, and that was not enough. We need more money.
The sad thing is I agree with her. that the pay in this country, Wall Street has done this. Wall Street did NAFTA. Wall Street did GATT. Wall Street sets the minimum wage. The lobbyists, the scum, the swamp, they put this whole thing together so businesses don't have to pay anybody. And at the same time, they get the government to lie about the rate of inflation, which they always had. We talked about it yesterday. You know, a Chevy Suburban went from $6,000 to $70,000. And at the same time, they reported 12% cost of living allowances for Social Security. I mean, think about that for a minute.
Yeah,
so,
and on the cars side, the cars and the trucks, they say that there's been zero inflation, zero.
Right, zero.
In 20 years.
Well, you know how they do it?
Zero.
Here's how they do it. They change like seasonally adjusting data. They go, well, let me tell you, did a 1976 Suburban have a computer in it? No. Well, that's worth $50,000. So that's how they do it.
Right. Hey, how much does that have to be worth to get to zero? And that's the number.
That's how they do it. They just make it up. Well, how about the housing problem is becoming huge. Now, you know, people always move to the cities. You came out of the country, you know, and I know this for a fact. I mean, you know, I'm seeing it. I have my wife's family. They're all from, you know, the middle of nowhere. I mean, well, not the middle of nowhere, but you can see it from there. So, you know, these kids, they grew up in small towns, high school graduating class of 12. And I've watched all her brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews. You got to go into town and you got to make money. You know, that's where the jobs are. They used to be out in the woods, but they're not there anymore. So, but now the problem is the rents. The average rent in Phoenix, $1,600. $1,600. You got to go back out into the country. Now, the problem with all this is, you know, they used to call it drive till you qualify. So this is how, and in Phoenix, I don't have to tell you people, it's just crazy. This town spreads out. You know, when I was a kid, there were no freeways. 17 was, you know, kind of went around a little, 2 lanes, but
you had the 10, and that was like it.
Yeah, and even then, to go to L.A., how many old-timers listening to this show remember this? To go to L.A., you had to drive down Van Buren and go through Buckeye to get to the interstate. Not a lot of people remember that. You had to go through the Roadrunner truck stop. But anyway, so what you have is now you've got a problem. And I want people in Phoenix to pay attention to this. The gas prices are getting a little bit spendy. And if you do your history, when people have to drive out into the woods, all right, to the desert here, you got to drive out into the desert until you find a home you can afford to rent. But then your gas bill doubles. That is where the real estate markets start to have a problem. People can't afford to do that anymore. They can't afford it. Then the rentals start sitting. You know, housing booms from the inside out, from downtown to the outskirts. When they collapse because of gasoline, they do it from the outside in. You're listening to Eric Cedarstrom with Joe Jaquint. Be back after these classes.
Cause from them total wages earned down to that net amount that's due, I feel a painful sense of loss between the two.
Johnny Cash. You're listening to Eric Cedarstrom Radio News Hour, brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group, playing all of your greatest hits. Jason's running the board, the studio. We got Ramon in Phoenix. Everybody's working hard, man. It's just a great day to be alive. Thanks for allowing me into it. I got Joe Jaquint, CEO of Patriot Trading Group, in front of me, and also CEO of KHNC 1360, the American Freedom Network. Abigail Disney. She says, you know, Disney CEO's making way too much money. Okay, she's saying that the company's making so much money that it has no excuse not to give its lowest paid employees significant pay raises, as opposed to just the $15 minimum wage. Now, this is what, I guess you get $15 to work in California. But she wrote this. Now, this again, Abigail Disney, and I would bet, just going on a limb here, that she cannot run one single ride at Disneyland. We all know the federal minimum is too low to live on. So why must we, as a company that's more profitable than it's ever been, be paying anything so close to at least the law allows at all? Abigail Disney. You know, wouldn't you think that, if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, that you would just shut the hell up. So somebody at Disney's got to be going, she said what? Because, if I was any, this is going to be a fairly big story, I would think. This broke this morning. That wouldn't you just maybe somebody with all the terrible things that happen in this world, that somebody would make up a cardboard sign and go stand in front of the gates and go, Disneyland is overcharging. I mean, you would think that would be, if you really want, injustice in society, okay, that you want to get noticed, go get a group and go stand in front of Disneyland and protest that they're making the most money that they've ever made, because really not what happens is they raise the minimum wage, they lower the prices is what happens in a real business society.
You think about it. I did the story yesterday, and Eric, I used to take my kids to Disney because Joe was playing basketball all the time. I took your daughters all the time. It was less than $100 to go to Disney. My wife actually looked to go to Disneyland today. It's $200.
Wow. Think about that. I mean, even if I won tickets, if I won and a plane flight and a limo ride and a free hotel and all the food and drink, well, maybe the drinks, I might go. I wouldn't go. All right, here you go. 640 new words added today to the online dictionary at Merriam-Webster.com today. Include economic and financial terms going mainstream, which offer a window in how the English language is changing and expanding. According to the press release, the additions reflect a wide variety of fields and endeavors, from business to sports to social media to today's headlines. Business terms include gig economy, or the rising force of freelance and temporary workers. How about that? You're a gigger if you're a temp. Often doing side jobs and overall the on-demand work typically found in the service sector. That includes driving at Uber, selling goods on Etsy and eBay, or doing chores on TaskRabbit. By the way, more than 36% of U.S. workers, or about 57 million people, are currently hustling in the gig economy. So, how about that?
57 million.
57 million got a gig deal going. So, yeah, you got a gig. Some of the terms aren't so new, though. Yeah, this is no new term. They bumped up. The use is notable, though. Vulture capitalism. Come on. Which Merriam-Webster believes was the first used in the Greed is Good 1980s movie. What was that, Wall Street?
Yeah,
Michael Douglas is defined as a form of venture capitalism in which aggressive methods are used to buy distressed businesses with the intention of selling it at a profit. The term was recently used by New York City Council Speaker Corey Johnson in February to argue against the Amazon then planned to come to Queens. I hope this is the start of a conversation about vulture capitalism and where our tax dollars are best spent, he said. Merriam-Webster also quoted a 2012 Bloomberg story citing charges that Mitt Romney was a vulture capitalist for his work at Bain Capital as an example of the often disparaging business term used in a sentence. The dictionary also notes that headwind and tailwind have blown in from aeronautics to the business world. It describes headwind as a force or influence that inhibits progress, and, well, tailwind, you can figure it out for there. Earlier this year, the stock investors faced historic headwinds due to record measures of policy and uncertainty. That was a sentence. New additions include compound terms such as page view, which is the instance that user views in an individual web page, and a metric that plenty of online media sites and sellers are obsessed with. There's also being an on-brand or being appropriate to, typical of, consent with, or supportive of a particular brand or public image or identity. How about this one? A plenty of buzzy is a new one.
What?
Buzzy, or generating a buzz. Pop culture and social media reference made the cut, such as being stole or having a psyche enhanced by bodybuilding exercises. I don't know. Here's one. Snowflake. How about this?
Oh, it made it.
We know snowflakes in. Now used to mean both someone regarded or treated as a unique or special. So like, no two snowflakes are alike, or someone who is basically just a crybaby. No, it says overly sensitive. Purple. No, purple. Purple, I mean, you would think purple's been around for a long time. But anyway, purple now, it means extending the blending of red and blue to the metaphorical level. Purple can now refer to geographical areas where voters are split between Democrats and Republicans. There you have it. See, it pays to get up in the morning and go to the meetings. You're listening to the Eric Cedarstrom Radio News Hour final segment coming up for the first hour. I'll tell you, when it comes down for me to getting paid, I'm going to get Abigail Disney on the phone and talk to Joe. So, how you doing? Welcome back. Final segment, first hour, Eric Cedarstrom Show. Joe Jaquint sitting here. This show's brought to you this hour in whole, brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group. Legal, lawful, constitutional, tender, gold and silver, things that are tangible, things that you can feel and touch. Well, things that are real, and I mean, in today's day and age, trying to, separate the wheat from the chaff is no easy task, is it? I was talking about terms going in, and there was one over, the purple one kind of surprised people. The can't decide if you're a Republican or a Democrat. They used to call them I don't know, independents. Yeah. Here's garbage time was added to the to Merriam-Webster's dictionary today. And I asked Joe, do you know what that means? It's a sports term. And Joe says that it's a little bit different.
Yeah, we don't call it garbage time anymore.
He knew what it was. I was surprised.
Garbage time is, when the game's already been decided and you put the lesser players in the game.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the game's over.
Right.
Okay, so
it's garbage time.
You call it.
And now you call that 30-30 time.
30-30 time. Now, I thought you'd get a gun and shoot the ref.
Right.
No.
No. Like, that kid's a 30-30 player. That means he doesn't play unless you're up by 30 or down by 30.
Ooh. See, that's the difference between soccer and football. Soccer, everybody gets, oh, yes, let's just lollygag. Life is fun. But football, not so much. Here's a new one. Gender non-conforming was added to the dictionary today. Exhibiting behavioral, cultural, or psychological traits that do not correspond with the traits typically associated with one's sex. Now, there's gender confirmation surgery. I think we can all figure that one out. But then they broke it down to top surgery, which... and then they go bottom surgery. I don't think I need to explain any of that. Here's one I didn't know, though. Bottle episode. These are important in today's day of watching television and screens all day. A bottle episode, which is kind of what this is. You know what this is?
Can I take a guess at what bottle episode is? One of the Kardashians ordered a bottle at the bar, and the wrong one showed up.
Well, it could
be.
There
was an episode made on it.
No, I think it's going to be closer to Jack Daniels Friday on the Patriot Radio News Hour. But it is a bottle episode. Describes the show quite well. It is an inexpensively produced episode of a series that is typically confined to one setting.
Okay. Well, we nailed that one.
We got it. So there you have it. That's your update of all the terms you need to know. It's not easy keeping up with all this, especially if you got kids or grandkids, They come in and they start, you hear the word totes and stuff like that. And you're like, what are they talking about? So, okay, a quick look at the markets. The Dow up another 155 to 26,665. S&P 500 tacking on another 24 points at 2,932. NASDAQ up almost 100, 8,112. Oil continues its meteoric rise, just gone crazy, up almost another 3% today. So eventually the high gas prices that they love to preach as economic prosperity will have an effect.